Hey everyone, it's Devi with doitlikedevi.com, a lifestyle blog helping you to do more and save more. And more recently, if you've been following my journey with me for a while, perhaps you're in the same situation, I've pivoted over to talking about our immigration story. My husband and I filed for the CR1 IR1 spousal visa starting back in 2019 through consular processing, meaning that your spouse is overseas during the time of the whole process. I have a ton of videos to kind of recap that whole process, but we've been essentially sharing our journey ever since. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. And of course, for everyone that's been following along, very much appreciated. Today, we'll be getting into what happened after we filed that 751, the petition to remove the conditions. That happens when the foreign spouse enters the US and the couple hasn't been married yet for 2 years. They give a conditional visa approval for the 2-year period. And then of course you have to remove the conditions to then get a 10-year green card, which is essentially what we did last summer. And then I will get into, sorry guys, I can't figure out where I want to stand. But anyways, in this video, I'll share with you what happened after we filed and submitted our I-751 to remove the conditions, and then what kind of paperwork you'll receive and next steps after that. Rest assured that you will get a notice. Say, for example, you have upcoming travel pretty quickly after your 2-year green card is going to expire. I'll get into that in just a second here. But if you could all do me a favor, if this is of any value to you, please like, subscribe, comment, share. We're just trying to build this particular platform as a resource for other people who might be going through the same immigration process. And you all sharing your stories or your commonalities by hopping in the comments is very much appreciated. So without further ado, you can always refer back to my previous video that will do a little deeper dive into the I-751 submission process as far as removing the conditions. Do you write one check? Do you write 2 checks? Do you write a personal check? Do you know, everything there. Refer to my previous video. I'll link it up. So our window to remove the conditions started back in June 13th of last year. The window opens 3 months before your conditional green card is about to expire. My husband entered the US back on 13th of September 2020, and then his green card was set to expire on September 13th of 22. So 3 months prior to that is when our window opened. So we submitted our application back on July 9th. That was a Saturday. And then by the following Thursday, which was July 14th, I did check my bank statement and I did see that USCIS had either cashed or deposited the personal check. So I knew that they at least had received my package. And then the very next day on the 15th, the Friday, we had received a letter. So that turnaround time was pretty fast. USCIS must have gotten my FedEx package on that Monday. And then by that Friday, we had in hand some kind of notice. I'll show, without really showing my details here. We had received this 797 notice of action. So this letter that we received, the I-797 notice of action, it's on a bit thicker paper than what they normally send, just like your standard 8x11 printer paper. I think this is just so that it's durable, so that you can travel with it, because you will want to, if you have any travel plans set for really within that time period of your 2-year green card expiring. This particular letter will get you back into the US because it essentially serves as a 24-month extension from that expiration date of your 2-year green card. Other than the travel bit, the other really important thing to note is that this is also an extension of your authorization to work in the United States. Then shortly after that, on the 1st of August, we received another notice. So about 2 weeks after that particular thing where we received that notice of action letter, that thick one, and we received a letter for Fabian's biometrics appointment. And so that was scheduled for the 10th. So they really don't give you a big window, and they kind of just set a date for you, set a location. My advice is to just try to make that work. I would just try to make that USCIS appointment work. Otherwise, you'd have to come up with a really valid reason, and I'm not really sure what reason USCIS might take for the reschedule. So as much as possible, heads up, short window. I would consult Visa Journey if you're able to find, say, the USCIS field office experience in your area once you know your appointment and which office you're assigned to. They all seem to operate a little bit differently. Some people had a really long wait time because that particular field office is maybe understaffed and high volume. There's been a mixed bag. So I would definitely, once you've been assigned your appointment and you know your location, hop onto Visa Journey and see what that process for the biometrics was like, so you can manage your expectations, and also if you're taking time off work, you kind of know how much to allocate away from work. For Fabian, it was really quick. I'd read online that the office doesn't take you in more than 10 minutes ahead of your appointment. For us, that wasn't true. I think he was able to walk in more than half an hour early. They basically just took fingerprints, all 10 fingers, because I've heard that differently on different USCIS offices. Like, oh, it's only like, 2 or 4 fingers, but it was all 10 for Fabian. And then they took photos of him, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't really any questions other than verifying, like, is this you? And then he was out of there. So I would say less than an hour. So again, biometrics appointment was on the 10th of August of last year, 2022. And then keep in mind, when I checked my USCIS account, there was no updates whatsoever this entire time. The only thing that they had registered was that they sent us the notice that our window to remove the conditions had opened up, and beyond that, there was really nothing in there this entire time. So it really looked pretty stagnant. And of course, I checked frequently. I would say like once a month intermittently, nothing. So I wouldn't even necessarily bother with checking my USCIS during this process, unless of course you are just starting the process of removing the conditions and you just need to consult that initial letter. That's pretty much it, but don't expect any further updates in there. And since we had that 797 letter, or that extension of the expiration date for the green card and the authorization to work and travel, I wasn't really worried about getting the physical green card after that. But I did hear from one of our immigration friends that that took a really long time. I really didn't go onto Visa Journey at that point to look to see what the average time would be. I was just like, it's gonna come when it comes. And then about 5 months later, so this is at the top of this year in January, on the 6th, we got that notice of approval that our application was approved and that the green card itself would be coming in 60 days. And then the very next day, on the 7th, it came in the mail. I don't know if that's been the experience for other people as far as when the green card actually came through. We were already scarred by the process after the port of entry, where we were waiting on the social security card and the green card. So I wasn't hoping for the best, but in any case, we were very pleasantly surprised that it came the very next day on the 7th. Now he has that 10-year green card. After you've been married for 3 years to a US citizen, you can technically apply for citizenship. So that might be the next step for some people. We will probably take our time doing that, just because within a short span of time, it's just been USCIS application after USCIS application. I hope that manages your expectations a little bit of what might happen in the process. If you've had something completely different to mine, I would love to hear what's going on. I think it really just depends on where in the country you are, which lockbox you file at, how well your application was prepared. There's so many different variables. I'd love to hear all of your stories. And of course, if you can comment, like, subscribe, share, that way we're continuing to build our community and funnel this out as a resource, that would be great. You all have a great spring, and see you in the next video.